Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Aspen Uprooted. We are excited to have you with us today for this installment. We have Leah with us from Pure Pups, and we're also Copper, her little assistant, who's being very well behaved. But we're excited to get into talking about her business and everything she's doing and bringing to the Rapid City community. Before we get started, we always want to remind you to like, subscribe, and share this link if you appreciate what we're doing, and feel free to send us in any comments to help us improve the podcast. I know Dan says I need constant improvement. So the more feedback we can get, the better we can do on this podcast to make it more informative for you. But
you just got done saying how this is amateur hour, and that was actually really professional. You did a great job.
Yeah.
No stumbling,
Yeah.
nothing. Good job.
All right, cut, take two. No, I'm just kidding. Leah, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it.
And Copper, you having us here
thank you
today.
for bringing Copper. We love pets at Aspen. We do everything we can to bring them into the building and get them involved with everything. So thank you for bringing him along as well.
Yes.
Maybe you want to start out just by telling us your name and a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you got started with Pure Pups, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, my name is Leah Theunissen. I have been in the Rapid City area for 30 plus years. I'm originally from a little village called Dresden on Seneca Lake. And yes, it is truly a village. So it is a village within the town of Torrey, within the county of Yates, within the state of New York.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
I came out here in 1991. I was 17 years old, and I had gotten married the day after I graduated from high school. Long story, but here I am today. All of my children were born and raised here, and now we have grandchildren, and yeah.
Very nice. What got you into, what did you do? What's your background as far as like professional? What industries did you work in, and then what got you switched over to the animal
Pups?
industry? Yeah, Pure Pups.
So I've been in a number of industries, from retail to having my own 501c3. I worked with suicide attempt survivors, mainly middle schoolers. That was one of my biggest accomplishments. And then I was in the mortgage industry. And this guy, was my daughter's dog, and he stayed with us for a summer while they were starting their own restaurant, the Black Elk Grill. And when he went home, he badly misbehaved, and he wanted to come back to Grandma's. And so I was making his food, and he had been hit by a car when he was 3 and started to develop a limp. And we noticed that as the more he ate my food, the less of a limp that he has. Obviously, he does not have the limp anymore. And today is his 8th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So happy birthday. And a friend of mine had said, Leah, I really think that you should produce your food. And here we are.
There you are.
How many years ago was that?
It was actually this
5?
year.
Wow.
Well, wait, now we're in 2025, but May of 2024 is when I started our LLC, and by the time we had all of our licensing and all of our packaging in, that was August 24th
Oh, wow.
of
Okay.
2024.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can't even admit you said that he was misbehaving. I couldn't even imagine him misbehaving.
No,
He was
he's
just
very
being
calm.
So, yeah, very good.
Oh yeah, he ate all of the peppers out of the garden, opened up the cabinet, ate the toilet paper.
Oh,
He
yep.
was so naughty.
He was just craving that good food that he got at Grandma's house.
So what makes Pure Pups so different then from food that someone might just buy at the store?
Okay. Well, our biggest thing is that we are local. We source local. So our beef comes from Hermosa, and it's all grass-fed beef. And we actually process our beef, so we know what cow we're getting, and we know that it's quality. Our chicken is Hutterite chicken out of Mitchell, and then our salmon comes from Dakota Seafood. So
Wow.
again, we are sourcing local, and we are a local company. So those that are wanting to support local, I appreciate that, such as yourselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have 5 organic vegetables,
Yep.
and we don't put anything synthetic in our food. So we use whole muscle meat. We do not use any animal byproducts such as kidney, liver, heart, anything like that. And there's a reason we do that, is because if you were to eat liver on a daily basis, Myles, you would develop gout. It's just too much for your system. Plus, when we think about it, what is the function of the liver?
Killing all the bourbon I drink. I know that. Filtering it out.
So exactly. So when you have a water filter, at the end of that 6 months, what does that water filter look like?
Nasty black.
Yes,
Throw it out.
it's filled with all that funk. And so the same thing with the liver. It still has a lot of those toxins that it's been pulling from your blood. So
Very
Makes
cool.
sense, yeah.
Sounds like her pets eat better than me. She got Dakota Seafood salmon, which we had Ben Klinkle on, and I know how much that costs.
Yeah.
And farm-raised beef, farm-raised chicken. Wow.
Well,
That's awesome.
Dogs are pets, or pets are members of our family. So to me, it makes sense that you'd want to feed them, the best you can. So absolutely. Yeah.
I know we don't have kids. We've got 2 golden doodles, and yep, they sleep with us and push us off the bed and get spoiled rotten. So
Yeah, and that's okay.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's still cheaper than children, I think. So per my calculations, I don't know.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit more about Pure Pups. How many products do you have? What are you developing? What's coming up in the future? All that fun stuff.
all right. So we have right now, we have 3 different treats plus our cookies. So we have Brandy's Candies, which is our grain-free product. And that one has peanut butter and lots of banana. It's made with almond flour, coconut flour. So it's a completely 100% grain-free. We've got our peanut butter pumpkin. This one is actually our biggest seller right now. And we actually make the peanut butter. So
Okay.
everything, if I can't grind it, put it up in there, it doesn't go into that food.
Sure.
Awesome.
And then we also have a blueberry banana, which I left that sample up over there. And then we also have a new treat that's coming out in, actually Saturday is when our bags come in. It's called Beefy Pumpkin Stew. So it has the same grass-fed beef and then our organic vegetables that go into our food. And then, of course, lots of pumpkin in there as well. Our cookies are, again, grain-free. All the dogs seem to really, really love them.
Sure.
So they're kind of a fun little treat. Then for our food side, we have beef, chicken, salmon, and then, believe it or not, pineapple.
Oh, okay.
So pineapple, people are a little curious about that one. And pineapple contains bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme that aids in digestion. And what it does is it breaks down the protein and other nutrients to allow it to be absorbed better. And then also, this one is made with oats. So if you have a dog that may have allergies or skin issues, the oats are very calming for the skin.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff in the works there. That's awesome.
Yeah, and what I love about these is, you go to the store and you buy those big name brands, and the ingredients list is this long
Yes.
in 8-point font, and you can't read half of it. And usually, like you mentioned, the first ingredient's always some sort of rice or grain product where they're using it as a filler. But these ones, simple ingredients: almond flour, banana, peanut butter, homemade peanut butter, coconut oil, and coconut flour, and egg. I can pronounce all those.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool and very simple. So obviously, puppies love them. Copper's like, why aren't you giving me one? We better give him one. He's being a good boy.
Oh, here, hop down.
Can you sit?
Oh,
good
oh
boy.
wow.
Good boy. Dan, can you sit? Oh, you already are sitting. You going to eat one? I asked Dan if he was going to eat one before we did it.
Anything for the viewers.
Not bad.
They're actually not bad.
See? All natural ingredients that humans can eat. So we definitely know
You
it's
saw
safe
it
for
here
our
today,
puppies.
folks. Yeah.
Thanks for being
No.
a team player, Dan.
I will do that. Yeah. There you
I'll
go.
try
Yeah.
it too, just for your benefit.
Yeah, they really, it's a very mild,
I've had protein bars that are worse. So
yes.
very good.
We're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expand it out now.
It's going to be pure humans coming up next.
There you go. Well, so kind of shifting a little bit away from Pure Pups for a moment, just talking more about you. One of the questions we always like to ask people is, what is the most unexpected piece of advice that you've ever received?
So my most unexpected piece of advice was when my son passed away. And I was going through this horrid feeling of grief. And it said, this advice was, you can't jump around it. You can't jump over it. You have to go through it, and you have to let it move.
Yep.
And as I thought about that concept, because I wanted to get done with my mourning, and I wanted to get on with the grief and get through that process as quickly as possible. And I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? How does this even work? I had no clue. And it took years to finally grasp what this person had told me. And, you know, when you're going through this type of grief, you just feel everything physically, mentally, and you can feel it coming on when you know that that moment is coming, and you just have this feeling of dread. And then one day it clicked with me that this feeling of dread was coming. And then I thought about how it affected me last time. And after it was over, this new perspective that I had towards human relationships, towards dogs, and just towards life in general, and how that changed me. And so then I began to work with that. And as these moments of grief come on, it's become a bittersweet process, because I know that God is making me a completely changed person from what I was 13 years ago.
Sure.
When it happened.
I'm sorry to hear that about your son. No parent should have to go through that. That's an awful experience. But it's nice to see you see the silver lining and the growth and what you can do to get through it. So that's good advice for sure.
And thank you for opening it. When I was reading your answer to it, I was like, wow, she's really opening up, and we appreciate that, because people knowing this about your past, like he was saying, it's clearly shaped who you've become afterwards, and you know, it's affected how you handle your personal life, your business as well, the efforts you put into that. So thank you for being willing to talk about it and mention that. So, what would you say, again, we're kind of shifting track here. Again, thanks for talking about that. But what would you say is your favorite type of customer that you deal with Pure Pups?
My favorite customer is someone who gets it. We get a lot of, well, my dog has sensitive stomach. My dog has such and such. And someone who truly comprehends simplicity of food and how food heals, how food nourishes, and how food is this amazing process, just even in the creation of these recipes that we put out. They're nutrient-dense ingredients. And the fact that we don't put any preservatives, we don't do any additives, so nothing synthetic goes into our food. So that's my favorite kind of customer.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting on your website, which, by the way, very great website that you have.
Thank you.
You were actually showing it to us a few weeks ago, but on there you do call it recipes. You mentioned that rather than flavors. So what's the reason behind that? Why do you call it a recipe rather than a flavor?
So a flavor, you always think of artificial flavoring, natural flavoring. Even natural flavoring has some artificial garbage in it. So we don't ever use the word flavor. It's always our recipe.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. I think I called it a flavor earlier, but I was like, oh, yep, they're not that. It's a recipe. So, yeah, and your website, what is your website, by the way, for our viewers if they wanted to go to it?
It is purepupsrc.com, purepupsrc.com.
Awesome, yeah. So on your website, like when you show all your different recipes, if a person's curious about like how much they should give to a dog of various weights, do you have assistance on there on your site?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that was I think that was a question that someone had at our BNI meeting, and that's a good handy tool to have on there for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you were starting to ask something.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's really cool to see how, the pandemic was such a terrible time for the loss of life and illness and everything else. But from that, a lot of people changed directions with their careers. They had more time on their hands. I know one example I think of is like the Sour downtown with the sourdough bread. They started during the pandemic, I'm going to start making sourdough in my kitchen. And then it turned into this sprawling business. And so we've seen individuals do that same thing where they have more time, had more time during the pandemic. So they started experimenting, or they had changes in their circumstances and they started this process. And then they've developed a business out of it, which is really cool. And it's kind of seems like that's where you kind of started a few years ago with that, and now you're on your own. Are you still doing everything based out of your home? Do you have a location now? How have you seen that grown? Where do you see yourself going in the near future?
So we are still doing everything out of our kitchen. Our children with the restaurant, they do have like a designated freezer space for us, which has been wonderful. And we have done a couple of days of cooking out of their kitchen, considering it's all food grade foods that we have in there. So we have done that a couple of times. But.
Sure. Yeah.
Very nice.
And you were telling us before we started filming how some days you work are pretty long, some pretty long days in the kitchen.
Yes, 12 to 15 hours. 15 hours would be the maximum day that I did.
Wow.
But yes.
Yeah. Couldn't imagine doing that.
Yeah, it's a lot of time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm not
And
that good
doing
for-
every process, making your own peanut butter and everything, that's very in-depth. So
Yes.
have you developed this just from your love of cooking, or did you take special classes, or have just done lots of research? Like, what's your educational side of it?
Well, I love cooking, and I figured the children have people set. I might as well take on the dogs. And so then my research began as far as what they can eat, what they cannot eat. I think one of the most off-the-wall things that I didn't realize they couldn't eat was avocado. Dogs
really?
cannot eat avocados.
Did not
It's
know that.
toxic to them. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a really great learning process to see what their nutritional values are and what differs from us. Even though their digestive system is very similar to ours, their metabolism and things are just different than humans.
Sure.
And it's very important for us to have that knowledge. One of the things that the dog food industry has done is they've got all of this byproduct, and what is the cheapest cut of meat that we can feed to the animals. So we've been fed this information of this is what's best for your dog because this is what is most affordable. And then they start doing the additives, and they put them in the category of supplements, even though they're all synthetically made. I can't say all, but
Sure.
they go through a chemical process in order to be released from their main source, such as L-cysteine. L-cysteine comes from human hair, so it goes through a chemical process to get that L-cysteine out of there. So
Wow.
just some of the things that I've learned throughout this process.
Lots of fake news
Yeah.
in the marketing.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
Sure. Well, and you mentioned avocados, but maybe for our listeners and viewers who don't know, what other foods should dogs stay away from?
Most definitely onions, garlic, anything that's in the onion family. You don't want onion, chives, garlic, those types of things. So like
Okay.
say if you marinated your steaks in something that has garlic in it, and your dog is like, oh, let me have some, please don't do that.
Okay.
If it has any of those items in there, that can also be toxic.
Okay.
There was another one that I had.
You always hear of the classics like chocolate is
Yeah.
not good for them.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
right?
There's chocolate, but there is a type of chocolate that dogs can eat,
Okay.
and that's choco.
Oh.
So it's a different type of chocolate that they can have.
Okay.
And so some of my food coloring, because I have Christmas cookies that we do, and they have all natural colors in them. Doesn't like that. And so the brown has the choco
Okay.
in it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to purchase your products, do you sell them at any stores here in town?
Yes, we do. So Dakota Butcher, they actually this week are getting our treats in, but they've been selling our food. So they're doing really, really well. I've really appreciated their support. And Pet Pantry carries our full line. And then we have Healthy Paws that carries our treats. And then we are in Spearfish. And we have, it used to be Changing Spaces. I believe it's Exotic Animal Supplies of the Black Hills now.
Okay.
They carry our full line. And then in Sturgis, we have the Grocery Mart that also carries our full line.
Okay.
Nice. And can they also purchase on your website?
Absolutely, yes.
And then do you ship or pick up, or how does that work?
At this time, we do have shipping. And then starting Friday, this Friday, we are going to start at the Traders Market at the mall.
Oh,
So Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, we will be there.
Perfect.
Okay.
We'll have to talk to Ben too and have him sell the salmon food at Dakota Seafood since he gets it from there.
Yes, my apologies. I did forget about them. They do have the salmon at
Oh,
Dakota
okay,
Seafood.
cool.
Perfect.
My apologies.
Perfect. No, it
We
makes
were
sense.
gonna talk to him. We were like,
Yeah.
gotta get this sold
This
in
is
there.
made with your fish.
Yes.
Well,
Very
awesome.
cool.
So I know you mentioned the website earlier, but just so everybody, as we're wrapping up here, if anyone wanted to get a hold of you or if they wanted to go to your website, what's a good contact number for you? And what is your website one more time?
Okay.
If
You can reach me at 605-415-5841. And then again, our website is purepupsrc.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being
Yeah,
on
we-
the show. We appreciate it. Learned a lot, and we certainly appreciate everything you're doing for our little furry friends here in the community. And thank you for bringing Copper. He was a
Thank
very
you.
good boy.
Yeah, we can offer wholehearted recommendations, not just because Copper clearly enjoyed it, but we tried it as well, and we can recommend it wholeheartedly.
Yep. Dan and Myles approved
Yeah,
for human or animal consumption.
yeah.
Look at this beautiful coat.
He does have a
He's
shiny
very
coat.
soft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. It's
thank you
definitely
again.
working.
Thank you
Yeah.
again, Leah. It's
Thank
been
you.
a joy talking with you.
And until next time, when we have another story dug up from the grove, thank you for tuning in.
Aspen uprooted, we're taking it deep.